me see something here, man. You guys can kind of see more of what I'm doing. All right, y'all know me by now, or the ones who've been following along. I don't wait for people to get in to the live before I start the process. So what I'm doing right now is I'm preparing to clear coat the bottom half of these bluegill finally. I took the day off out of my actual shop and came home to finish clear coating these bluegill. So there will be a little bit of movement. I mean, I will be walking around, and once I get a particular call, I will be leaving. This is just like a kind of letting people know that I'm still here, still active. It's just been a couple of days, but I know some people become impatient, like, yo, where do you go? But this is what I'm doing real quick. I am clear coating the second half of these lures. All right, so my bad. Spin this. Here is my jar of KBS, stuff that I actually dip in. Ooh. All right. And I also decided to go live because I'm in the middle of doing this. I'm like, you know what, I'll show the process of me dipping the lures. I am in my garage slash shop, technically. Shop at home away from my other shop where I do all of my airbrushing at. But this here is the good stuff. KBS, my stuff that I dip the lures in. How are you guys? How are you guys? I am going to do one thing real quick, and this time I won't be stationary. If you're one of the regulars who come in and chit chat with me while I'm doing work, I won't be stationary. There will be a lot of moving around. So the very first thing moving around wise is I need to get this fire back up because it is, oh yeah, that's down to coals. That is down to coals. I gotta put some more wood in there for these lures to dry correctly. All right, give me a split second. And the shop slash garage is a little bit messy. I'm gonna take the time out and square this away. Happy holidays. I'm good. How are you, sir? All right, let me set this up. Actually, I can probably set it up down here so that you guys can see what I'm doing. This here, a jar of KBS. What I usually do to avoid the tails of the lures themselves from becoming hard from this bristle brush. That's a mouthful of a word to try to say. I usually will wrap the tail itself so that it doesn't get the hardness on it. I also need to grab a brush out of the other room. One second. All right, so this brush here I kind of use to sweep from in between the joints so that the joints themselves don't get caught up and become hard, and then the lower is basically useless. So I would dip almost to those joints. And then grab the extra that's kind of running off and just take a paintbrush and paint the jointed area or around the jointed area so that it doesn't harden inside the joints. Now there is many different ways to do this. From my understanding, one of my friends on Facebook told me that the Lumalite UV stuff works well, and someone else on here said that they use that too. It's just really cancerous in comparison to this KBS stuff, because you got to use like a light and you got to be a little more protective of your skin per se with that UV light, or your light box if you make one. I usually let it drip dry. Another friend of mine, he actually takes his hair dryer and puts the lure over in a box, and he hits it with the hair dryer so that it doesn't get bubbly, or he wants that flat look. He's like a professional. So I'm a intermediate person, I guess you would say. I just got through telling one of my cousins all of the weird different names I get called while doing this. He said, I don't see Rampage. Since you mentioned Rampage, the one that I get really a lot, and it's more so you gotta know the UFC, is Kimbo Slice. I get that more than anything else, especially in person. But you gotta know who that is to make that statement. All right, so this one is done. It is ready to hang dry, and I do have a website. It is actually myname.com. It must be debate.com, and that's where the lures will be at. Some of these gills are on there already. Some have sold out, so you kind of got to click them and see if there's any left. The good thing about it, when you do click on it, you get to see the swimming action. I kind of break down if it's a sinking, floating, slow rise, or a fast fall. So you'll know what you're getting your hands on before you actually order it per se. James Harding, I don't see it at all. But yeah, they say any black guy with a beard. That's who they call me. So all right, so this is the second one, and I gotta do something real quick, and it's gonna get really loud. And I mean, I don't know if I should just mute my mic real fast. I probably should do that. I don't want to scare anybody off. Like, dang, that's like crazy loud. I gotta cut some of this wood up behind me. It is starting to get cold in here, and I don't know if you guys can see my breath. I can see it, and my heat is starting to die down. And also that makes it a longer process for these lures to actually dry. Instead of 24 hours, it takes 48 hours because it's in a garage, and I don't want to turn on the actual electric heat in here. And then also looks whoever that is, I mean, it's just tripping. But give me like 2 minutes, not even two. I'm gonna mute the mic. I'm gonna cut that wood real quick, and then I'm gonna get that fire back jumping. All right, so this one is done. I wanna just take and run over top of some of this extra KBS stuff and knock some of it off. For me, when it comes to this type of like lures, I don't mind those inconsistencies. For me, it kind of gives the lure character. You know, like when you pick up a fish and it's starting to that slime is coming off of them. I want that effect. I don't personally mind it. I want that slime coat to look like a slime coat and not just perfectly done lure where it's like dead on flat, smooth. I want all of those little fine details in there. You know, that's the UV thing that I was talking about a little bit earlier. So you might have jumped in here slightly late. Yes, I am going to look into that UV system and keep see how it works. I'm gonna take you guys with me. I said it wasn't going to be stationary. I gotta get this fire back up. We are at. That's why. Okay, give me a split second. I'm gonna mute the mic. I'm gonna cut up some of this wood, and then we're gonna jump right back into this. I'm gonna unmute, and I want to show you guys something real quick. This little thing right here that I cut wood with, you can get this for like 50 bucks, maybe 100 at most. They usually do like all kinds of random sales on Amazon. I'm not affiliated with them at all. I've been using it for like the past 6 months. It is amazing. I recommend this if you're cutting wood. All right, so wood is cut. I'm gonna dump it into that wood stove real fast, and we'll be back to dipping the bottom halves. And I'm also gonna dip the koi fish too. All right, I think this fire should be good to go. No. I got some pallets a guy gave me from down the street. He was pretty cool. He's like, yo, I got some extra pallets if you want them to get a small, fast fire going. They do burn pretty quickly. There is, for soft plastics, man, there is a couple of companies that do kits. In fact, if you go to, a lot of people don't like the company, lorebuild.com will put you in a direction of kits for every kind of lore making there is. I think the smaller guys don't like him because of the fact that he has everything in one place, and he's kind of like the Walmart of lore building, literally. You can go on that site and find almost anything you need to make a lore, from plastic to resins to woods. He has some of the cutting tools. No, this is a bluegill. I'll turn it so you can see it in a split second. I'm just painting the actual clear coat in between the joints. But yeah, here we go. It's been painted. That fire is getting really high behind me. Let me go fix that. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but that is the fire. When a fire starts to burn, right? When it starts to spread, you don't bring that attitude home because you don't want to do nothing with your life. All right. Yeah, there's a ton of different variations of bluegill, or I would say panfish. This one here was just a simple green, but I added a bunch of detail to it. Let me make sure that that is hung correctly. All right, I'm gonna slide this back just slightly. And then you know what? I'm gonna show you guys real quick one of the koi fish. And in this case, because the way the tail is made, all right, that's the bass. Okay, I'm good to lay this down. So the tails are different. This one, obviously, you don't see the tail. This one here, you see the tail. And the reason why the bluegill is wrapped in the actual blue itself, that blue tape, is to keep this from becoming solid. I don't want that to get hard. Mainly because I think it may change the swimming action. I myself have never fished with one where this was solid once it becomes once it's clear coated. So here is a largemouth for the new people. Here is one of the koi fish. All right. So Here's the tail. I won't put the tail on during the drying process or the dipping process, just because it's not necessarily needed. I thought about coloring the tail and then dipping it, but I noticed with uh, this KBS stuff, I don't even know why I'm trying to put it on. Wow, I'm not gonna put it on. So what I actually do when I dip this, I cut a piece of cardboard and slide it in that actual slot and dip with that piece of cardboard. All right. No, I actually buy these from other companies or other people. I bought these blanks off of a person on Facebook. He just was getting rid of them, and I was like, I'll grab them and try them out. I don't have the time to do all the stuff from scratch like I want to. Certain hobbies require a lot of time, and that is one. And I have way too many hobbies picked up. Rod making, lure painting, and then my original job, which people call a hobby as well, depending on how you see it, tattooing. But I've been doing tattooing for 18 years. The lure painting part, oh, that's not. I'm worried that that's gonna fall out of there. All right, let's see here. I do these between 5 and 35. Um, these blinks, I know for sure. Well, I got these for like $1 a piece. I got lucky. I think people were selling them, or this person at one point was selling these at, I want to say between $3 and $4. I think he literally had 5 left and was just getting rid of them. So I was like, I'll grab them. All right. Dipping that piece with the actual cardboard on the backside. So what that does is once it dries, I can pull that piece of cardboard out and slide the actual tail in there. And I have painted the tails before, and what happens is they become like a semi-soft, and you can't put that lure with any other lure at all. What I'm doing now is just hitting all of the spots that need this stuff on it. And then I'll re-dip so that it will even out itself. Yeah, I make rods too, but that's a really long process of finding the right honest company, getting particular parts, especially from Japan, and getting the guides from a guy who discontinued the guides in general. He didn't want to make them anymore. And it took me like a year and a half to convince him that I'm very serious about those guides, because everybody else said that they were too small or too tedious to work with. All right, so I'll show you the koi dip halfway. I do appreciate the interactions, the comments, even the goofy ones, the diamonds, the new subs if there are any. All right, let me change this fire real quick. All right, we're gonna keep dipping. We're gonna keep dipping until I get a call saying that I gotta go. So maybe an hour, a little over. Then tomorrow, before my actual tattoo appointment, I'll be on airbrushing, finishing those largemouth for the new people who want to see it. I will be working on those last three good grief, largemouth tomorrow. Man, that fire feels freaking amazing. I can almost take this jacket off. I'm going to show you this up close because I'm looking at it right now and just seeing all the little fine details that airbrush can kick out is truly amazing on how these lures actually look. All right. Oh shoot, that almost dripped on my phone. That wouldn't have been cool. But all of those fine scales, the lateral lines, the pink. This is one of the ones I was messing around trying to get those lines in the actual fins, and it came out all right. That was hand painted versus the other method that I did the other night here, and I'll actually show you on that largemouth. All right, just making sure. Is this one back here? No, this one has not been dipped. All right. Trying to make sure this stuff doesn't hit my phone. It is really a nuisance to clean off once it's on fabric and anything else, honestly. But yeah, so what I was talking about is this style of scale where the lines look more so how an actual fin would look versus just I used like a toothpick to create those lines. Just trying out different methods, and of course the hardest way looks the best, taking that airbrush and taking a piece of paper or something flat and running it piece by piece to create that line. It's a really long process, especially if you don't do it on a regular basis. I'm going to sit down one day and just create those lines and just practice doing it. So it'll be muscle memory and it won't take nearly as long. Give me a split second. I do see those comments sliding up. I just don't want to look at the screen and then this stuff gets somewhere it shouldn't be. One second, people. Okie dokie. All right, I'm back. I'm back. Sorry about that. That was the call that I was waiting for, but I told them an hour. So you guys get to hang out with me and ask questions for an hour. Yes, sir. This actually right here costs more than drugs, but it will keep you alive for the most part. Especially once you catch one of these bad boys. If you ain't never been fishing, you catch a bluegill for the first time, and then you start to realize there are other fish bigger, stronger. Oh yeah, it's a drug for sure. No questions asked. Also, what I'm doing right now is cleaning the extra off of the fin itself, because the fin drip, I don't like how it turns out, because it gets hard underneath the fin and then you have extra glue under here, or clear coat, the epoxy stuff. So that's what I'm doing when I dip as well. I prefer lifelike. That's just me. I prefer natural colors. Even my tackle box is full of natural colors. I don't have too many uh, wow, super wow color lures. I think the closest thing I have that's a wow color, I'll show you real quick. Should be in the swim bait box. It's one of the biggest, this is one of the biggest swim baits that I throw, and I don't throw swim baits much at all, so I throw smaller stuff. This is about as wild as it gets for me, color-wise. Come on, you. This one here, that's another bluegill. The lightning trout, as they call it in California, I learned that that's what it's called over there. Here we call it palomino. I think they might be the same, but this is about as wild as it gets for me. And I got a couple of nicks and stuff on it from bass hitting this. Actually, here go two of my personal bluegills that I messed around with. You see how the fins are kind of transparent and see-through versus how them other ones are. And this one's a solid, darker color. And then here's a small shell cracker, I guess you call them, a red ear, which I need to get ready to dip because I messed up the first time and forgot to put the black in the ears. I don't know how I missed that. Yes, I am clear coating different bluegill, and then some of the ones that I painted over this past 2 weeks, and also going back on some of the lures that I missed like putting a dot on them, that kind of stuff. Just fixing some errors. Gotta make sure they're perfect. I did that backwards. Snap. What was I thinking? So the fact that this one's being dipped upside down like that, I'm taking an extra paper clip and put it in the face or that eyelet so that that drips down and doesn't clog that hole. If you ever got a lure and you got to run a hook through it, that's the reason why. When they were making them, they missed that. Or when they were dipping them, they missed that. I'm going to sit these out of the way. I want to actually go ahead and dip this bass this way down because the tail's not ready. So it's a two-part dip, top and then bottom. So we're going to really get to see what these colors look like now that it's dipped. All right, and I'm just grabbing the extra that's running off and just hitting close to the edge as possible. Just catching all of the edges. You know what's crazy? I posted these lures on Facebook, which of course got a lot of likes. But I posted the koi fish, and the people were just like, "Why koi fish?" Like, they got like 7 likes. I'm like, "You guys are crazy." But they love a largemouth bass on this one page. I like the koi fish the way they're coming out, honestly. All right, so I'm gonna take this and just clean out the eyelet real good. And in this case, I'm gonna leave this in there so that the drip will have a continuation versus stopping at the eyelet, letting it just keep going. But that looks really good. This one's more of a taxidermy look versus the traditional green that other ones painted like. And this one doesn't have, which I should have told the dude when he mentioned it, and I wasn't paying attention. He said fish underwater aren't shiny. I told him in some cases they are, depending on if they're being attacked or the scales have been knocked off of them. But yes, when you do attack, or if you ever seen a taxidermist do a lure, they don't add any shininess. Not a lure, to an actual fish. They don't put all that glitter and glam in it. It's more of a flat base look. All right, so I'm gonna dip the largemouth, the green body that everyone's kind of commonly known to see. And then you guys are gonna also get to see some of the extra detail. You can see it now, but you're gonna really get to see it once it's dipped. All right. Sorry, I'm missing a lot of those comments. This stuff here is on like a time limit. You can't really just have it sitting out. It will start to harden in the actual jar. It takes some time, but the longer you keep it out of the jar, the longer you keep the jar open and exposed to the air, the more gooey and gummy it becomes over time. And this stuff is not cheap. I think it's $60 a jar. But it does last a pretty long time. Am I getting close enough here? Can't tell. Okay. Here we go. Yes, it is KBS epoxy. KBS diamond clear coat. There are many, 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 many different ways to clear coat fishing lures. This is just the one that I've been using for ever. In fact, I haven't tried anything else other than this. But once this runs out, I am going to try that UV stuff that everyone's been talking about. It's a lot faster from my understanding. The UV stuff is a lot faster, but it's a lot more dangerous and cancer causing, and the fumes are really smelly. I don't know how true it is, but that's just what I was recently told. All right, I'm gonna show you guys this up close. There you go. You see all of that color changing going on in the top? And then it's not just truly black. I did an inverted look with the dark green over the top so that the scales will continue all the way around down to the bottom. I can't get the lure too much closer to the actual phone without it dripping on here. All right, so that's the two bass that I finished. Appreciate it, appreciate it. Are these ready? No. All right, we're gonna clear coat another bluegill. You know what's crazy? In some cases, yes. But this daggone bluegill here, I've seen bluegill attack this thing. I guess just being territorial. But I have yet to catch a big fish on any of these bluegill. Not these big ones. Them little ones, I can catch smallmouth on those all day long. They'll tear that all to pieces. You know, it might be me, just because of where I am. I'm actually, I don't know if you've watched my lives before or not. Where I'm at right now, I'm not in the actual tattoo studio. I'm at my other shop at home, and it's my two-bay garage. So I might be getting a little bit of interference just because of how I'm at the bottom level of my garage. All right, so what I'm doing is just knocking off some of the extra. It's not totally required, but I like to do it just so that the actual epoxy isn't, what you call it, at drip points on the lure itself. I would rather the drip points be coming off of the actual tape versus coming off the lure. So that's fine with me. Show you this up close. But yes, I will be doing other color schemes. And of course the website is the name. It must be debate.com. These lures will be up on the site if they don't sell out at the show. If they sell out at the show, that means I got to make more. And I'll let you guys get to see that. And I'm going to also paint in different patterns. So like that red belly one that somebody was talking about earlier. Appreciate it. How will you feel? Yes, I have. When I first started, it's kind of hard to get swim baits to, it's, what is that thing called, man? Because I have one. I have a box that I built years ago that I stopped using. And I don't see it, but it's a chicken rotisserie turner. I think that's what it's called. But you can buy that, where you used to be able to buy those motors for like 20 bucks with the spinning thing on it as well. My smaller lures, I would use something like that and it wouldn't be an issue. But these here, I wouldn't trust it on that rotisserie spinner. I come out here and the lure would have fell off because of how heavy they are. Yeah, jerk baits and crank baits and stuff like that, I could easily get away with on that. And you would get like a perfect clear. And what I was saying earlier, I don't mind the imperfect clear. I kind of want it to look like it's got slime on its body. So certain areas I won't clean off on purpose. I'll let it drip dry. But one of the main areas that I clean off is this back fin on the top, because I personally don't like that drip where it looks like it's dripping on the top. I don't like it there. All right. I'm gonna take and clean that bottom eyelet out. In fact, I think I missed it on that last lure. The bigger lures, I'm not too worried about the glue on the eyelet. I can pluck that out pretty easy. It's those small lures where it becomes an issue. Alrighty. I got 3 more that needs to be dipped. Then I'm gonna dip those koi fish, and I'll show you something else real quick. So, ooh, come on. Son of a... 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. This one lord has been giving me a hard time. And I am getting spam calls. All right, so here is the tail by itself off the koi fish. And I usually would paint these to kind of match the lure, but I learned that a lot of people aren't going to be dedicated to keeping these lures away from other lures. And if I do paint it, you get this issue. So is you could take a look at that. If the thing, there we go. It collects dust quickly if you paint it and then clear coat it, because it never becomes solid on the actual tail, because the tail is soft, which is weird. But as soon as I throw this in the water, all of that dust and stuff will come off. And then the only other issue with that is if that touches another lure, it will start to peel itself to the other lure per se. So either that lure is, depending on who makes it and where it came from, if it's one of like Walmart's cheap lures, it's gonna take the color right off of that Walmart lure, and then it'll be on the tail of this lure. But if it comes off of one of my lures, it will take the tail and put it on this lure, which it almost tried to do just now, because I completely forgot that it was down in the bottom. So I don't personally paint the tails just because of that reason. I'll look at the comments in a split second. Like I was saying earlier, I can't let this stuff just sit out in the open for a long period. It will become gummy, and it will be a waste of 60 bucks. Come on, man. Now I'm just putting the actual epoxy in between the joints so that it doesn't become solid, and then the lure is pointless. It won't be usable. You do have to clear coat. As soon as you throw the lure in the water, all of the paint's will come right off, because they are water based. I see you there from Germany. Appreciate you stopping in. Alrighty then, good buddy. If that's what you want to do, more power to you. Oh my goodness, my fingers is getting caught from some of the other ones. All right, I'm gonna clean that ring out the bottom here, and then hang this one. It is ready to drip dry. Let me get this off my finger, man. I don't want this to get all over the place. Yeah, I think I missed that one at the back. I know I did. Let me see if I can touch it without touching the other ones. Yep, got it. All right. Two more of these. No, I'm clear coating the lures to be fished with. And as crazy as it sounds, I was doom scrolling, trying to find somebody else's live to watch while I was dipping these. And I was like, you know what? Why don't I go live and just show people the process of the actual dip? I think some people would be interested in seeing that. So here we are. You stopped and found something interesting, hopefully. If you didn't, you can continue to doom scroll. I will not be mad. Sorry about not reading the comments like I usually do. This stuff here is on a time limit for real. I've had one small jar I forgot to put the top all the way down on. And I went to go dip some lures and it was solid completely. And that put me 3 days in the hole. And my moderators are not here today. I don't know where they're at. So there's probably some wicked comments coming through, and I'm not seeing them. Then there's a couple of people in here who are I caught somebody else telling somebody else to chill out. I do appreciate it. I don't mind it. I know other people, it kind of gets on their nerves to see silly comments coming through. It doesn't affect me at all. In most cases, I would say have at it. Tell your jokes, get them off. You might make somebody smile. Or you might make somebody mad. It all depends. In the world we live in today, there are a lot of sensitive people. All right. So with this clear coat stuff on here, I don't know if I can show you it. No, I'm not painting today. Today I'm clear coating. Yes, and there's a lure to catch fish. Trying to watch my hand because there are other ones above it that are dripping. But here we have a bluegill ready. And I usually let them sit for 24 hours. Snap, did you guys see that? That went right on my finger. I usually let them dry for 24 hours, but because where I'm at, I'm letting them dry for 48. It's not as hot as I would like it to be in here for the whole 24 hours. And I'm not gonna run my electric bill up. Not for these. All right. Did I clean that bottom out? I did not. 1 second. Cleaning out the bottom eyelet. And that one is ready to be drip dried. Now, I buy these pre-made. I don't make the actual lure myself. Man, the more I wipe, I got something. All right. Paint wise, if I'm doing just one and I'm not like doing like a tutorial or showing people on live, I can knock out a bluegill in probably like 30, 40 minutes. But I usually do 10 at a time. So it takes a couple of days uh, just to show people. But yeah, I've been doing it for so long, I can kind of do this with my eyes closed. I can run through them pretty quickly. All right. I am clear coating. I am clear coating swim baits. And I'll show you this one. I can't show you any of the other ones now that they are already in position to dry. I can't take them off of there and touch them. I don't want to take that risk. So I'll show you this one. And it is starting to get back cold in here. I can see my hot breath. Got to get that fire back up. Nothing against none of the other lives that I seen as I was scrolling, but they're like just like reading comments. And I asked the one lady like, "So what do you do?" So I'm going through her thing, and she's just sitting there like responding to everyone saying hi, hi, hi. And I'm like, "There's no way you got all of those followers by just sitting there saying hi to everyone." And someone got mad because I asked that, and that's what made me like, you know what? I'm just gonna go live, showing people what I'm doing. I wasn't gonna go live, and I'm like, you know what? Some people might actually want to see this part of the process of lures being clear coated so that they can be used in water and not lose the paint. Bill, I did see your comment. Whenever you are ready to ship, my guy, I'll let you know. What I do need to do is I need to go back to the post office and start my P.O. box back up. I let it actually die out in the middle of buying this house because I wasn't accepting anything, wasn't buying anything. Buying a house is a heck of a process, and one thing you don't want to do is go on a spending spree while trying to buy a house. They will cancel on you in a heartbeat. All right, so I said I was going to show somebody if they're still in here. Here is the lure. Trying not to let it bump on each side. I see some comment that looks like it's spam, so I'm gonna put him on mute. I don't know if he's giving somebody a hard time or what. Yeah, these guys. It's like, man, I'm gonna make you a moderator, man. That's actually what I'll do, so you can control these people making those silly comments. There we go. All right, so we have left this bad boy. I'm dipping the lure in a jar of epoxy. This epoxy is the KBS Diamond Clear, is what it's called. And in this case, you know what? I'll show you the other process versus just dipping the head, because I did it in the beginning and think you might be pretty new. So Usually this lure has a tail on the end, this tail, and I would slide the tail on and dip it. But in most cases, you don't dip that clear tail in there. It's pointless. It becomes a headache once it actually clears. So what I do is I cut a piece of cardboard and slide it in and then dip it. I was gonna dip the other end, the head piece, and let it dry, but I'll dip this side since some people are wanting to learn. My fingers are starting to get some of that gluey stuff on it. Crap. All right. I don't know how that happened. It must be on this brush somewhere. All right, so we're gonna dip this side. Can't dip both sides because it will run down into the hinges or the break point of the lure, and then it will just kind of defeat the whole purpose of it being a glide bait. It'll become a stick bait. That we don't want. And then I'm just taking the extra epoxy that's dripping off the bottom and putting it in between the break of the lure and just making sure that it's not going down into the hinges. Some people don't even spray. Some people don't spray that area at all. I do. It's nothing against anyone who doesn't. This area that I'm epoxying now, some lures, the joints aren't sprayed. It's clear, or they will slap like some red or something in between there. All right. That's koi fish number 2. Is all 5 in here? Oh, 5 are in here. Okay. All right. So we got 3 more koi fish I need to clear coat. All right, this one's ready. How did that happen? I missed one of the eyelets on one of those bluegill, and I see it. All right. All right, another one of the koi fish. I did. I airbrushed this. A couple of lives back, I did it on live, and it was just freestyling off a picture that I found offline. And these are my first ever koi fish that I painted myself. A guy from Japan sent me 3 of his lures, and I was like, holy moly. I've never thought about painting a koi fish in 15 years of doing this. And I used his koi fish all summer. It was a koi fish jerkbait, and it caught everything in the water until I lost it. And then that's what made me uh, decide to do them myself. He did send me 3 of his blinks, which are really cool as well, without charging me, and they came from Japan. He wanted me to show him on YouTube, and I did a video on it, did a couple of videos on it. I got honestly too cocky with the lure during a tournament, and that's how I lost it. I should have never used it during any tournaments. And I was like, yeah, this is the lure that's going to get me first place. And I ended up losing the thing. I don't. It's kind of a long process, and I want it to be perfect. So I am in the middle of doing it. It's just that I want the joints to come out like perfect, perfect. I have an idea of what I want, and I haven't seen it done correctly yet. So I am going to how are you, pro? All right, I think there is one left. I'm not going to crank that fire back up. I need to dip this head. Okay, yeah, because that white's not. Here is a juvenile rainbow trout. There we go, zoom in. Maybe I need to step to the side. Oh, some drip just fell right on it. Where did that come from? Okay. They're gonna try to fall into the hinges. All right. I just need to dip the head of this because the white did become spotty from another lure. Took the color off of it. Actually, what I'll do is dip the whole. Oh my goodness, anywhere I touch it. All right. Katie, how are you? Kathy, Katie. Speed looking mainly because I'm on a time limit with this stuff and it's starting to get sticky everywhere. All right, that was done incorrectly. I should have. What if I drop it over in there? All right. See where it's dripping at? I don't know if you guys can actually see that or not. You don't want that to be the final drip point. It will close up the eyelid and it will be a pain to dig out without messing the lure up. So what I do, and what a lot of people do, is take a piece of a paper clip and slide it through the eyelid if this thing doesn't stop being a jerk here. There we go. Boom. So the drip point, the bottom of the actual paper clip versus the eyelid, the clear coat will continue to run down to the bottom of that. And that was not smart of me putting that right there. I'm gonna have to should have only had one koi fish left. I got two. All right. There is another koi fish. I myself have not. Nope, I'm lying to you. I tried a crankbait a while back, and I didn't have all of the proper tools, and just kind of gave up on it because I would rather make the rod itself. But I am going to make some lures. I am. I'm going to make some from scratch. It's just that I have to put one thing aside, and I don't know what that one thing would be. I am yeah, man, no, nothing's perfect, bro. And I prefer people to see those screw ups and how to go about fixing them versus being like, dang, this dude's making these lures like perfectly. Rapella, they're pretty good at showing their screw ups too. I like watching some of their videos. They don't post as much as they used to. Their assembly line of people painting their lures is pretty crazy. So it's in Cuba from my understanding, or Colombia, somewhere down in South America. The assembly line is about 100 people, and they sit there 8 hours, and they only spray one spot on the lure. So this koi fish will go down 100 people, and one person will hit maybe the front of the face. The next person will hit like the black dot. The next person to hit the fin. And I was just like, man, but they get a lot of lures done versus like a laser guided machine that can color them as well. There's so many different ways. Then there's the I don't know if you've ever seen where people use this stuff that you wrap the lure with and you stick it in hot water, and the lure kind of like the wrap kind of clings to the lure itself. That's pretty cool. I think it's called lure wraps or something like that, realistically. That's for somebody who doesn't want to take the time to learn the airbrush. That's just my personal thought. Or they want to just get out on the water and try some of those water decals is what I call them. All right, we got one more left. This is probably one of my favorite out of the koi fish that I painted. I think it was the last one because I was doing them from scratch and teaching myself as I was going along. So we got to see the evolution of the koi fish. And the reason why I said I like this one the most, I'm going to try to show you without getting epoxy on my hand. In the fin, I taught myself a technique to make the fin looks like it's not nearly as transparent as the fins on like a bluegill, a bass. And on a koi fish, the fin is kind of like a white with like a fleshy pink look. And what I did is I did the black through the fin, and then as it's going through the fin, it has where it's dull, so it looks like the fin is on top of the actual body. That was one of the final techniques that I kind of taught myself, spur of the moment. I think it came out really cool, and this is the one that I like the most out of the 5, just out of that hydro dip. That is another way I've seen people do their lures. The thing with hydro dipping, you don't get the realistic look. You get the crazy looks. It's probably pretty hard to dip or hydro dip and get a bluegill pattern, or a realistic bluegill pattern. I can't say for sure about the Nike thing. If they do, that's pretty cool. I have watched other artists airbrush Nike shoes, and I've had a few requests, and I personally don't care to do it. I like fishing. That's just another time restraint on this type of stuff. So this stuff here is strong, like smell wise, and then standing like right over it, it's probably not helping. But I will say that I am in a really well ventilated shop. It is humongous in comparison to my airbrush station. Yes, certain things I would do with a Sharpie. And the thing about it with the Sharpie, what happens is, trying to think where to stick this at. The Sharpie will take the other color off that it's that's on the actual lure itself already. Over time, if you keep like running over the same area to try to get it perfect, what I use in place of a Sharpie is either a toothpick or one of those barbecue skews to create those little weird details. All right, this is the last one. Usually in the video, I would end by spraying the screen, but we're not spraying, so I'm going to end by telling you guys I appreciate the comments, the ones that I missed, the interactions, the diamonds, the likes, the shares, those who come to learn something, those who come to troll. Even the trolls are an interaction. Like I said, I don't pay it any mind. Too bad my moderators themselves wasn't in here to control some of that. Yeah, I'm gonna seal this jar back up. Let me see something real quick because I don't want to put this dirty one on there. Oh, there you go. So the jar I have is a mason jar. It's the bigger one. I think it's a 64 ounce. And when you're sealing KBS, you want to try to seal it as much as possible to the point where it's not getting any air. Got you. It's just that I'm getting ready to go. If you come into the next one pretty early, I'll do that. So this ring here, they're called wide mouth mason jar rim seal. I use this, and I also wrap the actual mouth of the jar with what is that stuff called? It's a type of tape. Plumber's tape. Then I also on top of the jar, I have some duct tape, which I will once make sure that is good and tight. Don't over tighten it because you can strip it. You can tell when it's too tight or it's going to strip. It'll literally come to a stop. That means stop. And I will take this duct tape and close it down on each side, because at certain temperatures you can take this KBS and not do any of this and come back and the jar top has flown off because of the pressure building up from the actual KBS. But this good jar will get me a lot of lures painted if I take care of it correctly. I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna wrap this show up. Let me see something real quick. Here's one of my messed up ones I use myself personally. The fin is messed up. So any ones that mess up, I usually just keep. So the paint didn't come out correctly on this one. I kept it. I catch more fish with this. This is the second lure I used all year, this year, next to that koi fish. It is just a rainbow trout glide, and the smallmouth tears that up. And then of course that palomino trout that I showed earlier. This guy. They sold out pretty quickly at the show. In fact, they sold out in like the first hour. Yeah, I'm not gonna hold you guys too much longer. Let me see. Here is the first largemouth bass that I attempted and put them on the site. I think I need to buy some more of these blinks from that dude if I can get a hold of them. They came out pretty cool, but the bigger ones that I did came out really well. This is all freehand. This one, I only stenciled the, what you call it? The scales on here. If you can see them, there they go. Everything else is freehand with the airbrush. They came out all right. Yeah, man, I used to do that back in the day, go around trolling lives, and then I realized, like, yo, we got to grow up. And I said one day I would want to do a live and I don't want people trolling the entire comment section. So I chilled out. And I'm going to show you guys one last time my personal bluegills that I think I'm going to do on some of the other ones. Here's a personal. And the reason why I call it a personal bluegill, I kind of went above and beyond. This one took roughly 4 hours just to get the concept that I wanted. And it's still not perfect. The lateral lines are bold. I have a secondary set of thin lines I was going to run along it, and I didn't because I was kind of over it. But you can see my finger behind the fin. I was going to create a realistic look by adding some light blue on the top. I'm going to tell you guys who like fishing, pay attention to the bluegill around you in the water and see if you notice that light blue on the top of the fin and on the tail. It's a really faint light blue. And I like doing that to a lot of my bluegill, but I didn't do it this time. Some people like it, some people don't. I guess they don't really pay any attention to that. Here's a rough crappie that I did. Kind of teaching myself the color schemes. This lure anywhere anymore, where it came from. But I wish to name this one. This was in a blast box, sand blaster. I sandblasted this one. My father-in-law let me use a sandblaster, and I knocked the paint off of it and tried to crack it. It came out okay. I got the color schemes that I wanted, but my real crappies, they are further back in the live playlist that look way better. And yeah, that is it, people. I'm not gonna hold you any longer. Actually, you know what? One last thing. Somebody asked me about fishing startup, and they wanted to find something that they would know that would work, that would catch fish, bass, and this is my go-to, regardless of what I throw. The Gamakatsu offset shank worm EWG hook, size 2, and a zoom. I call it a firetail, and they actually do call it firetail. They just call it pink fire lizard. I use this from the bank. Out of all of this expensive stuff, this will catch you decent sized bass faster than anything else, I personally think. But I appreciate y'all. Catch you sometime this week. I don't know exactly when. No, I'm freshwater fishing. I got the river like right by my house. Peace out.